giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast. And here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the Art of Selling Travel Podcast. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about the fact that we are 6 months in to 2024. We are officially at the halfway, and yet there's a lot of choices to be made here. The year is already half over, but the flip to that is the year is only half over. And when we get to July, I find that this is when so many travel advisors, so many business owners, so many salespeople decide whether or not they're going to write the year off. And it makes me cringe when I think of how many people will say, you know what, 2024 is just a write-off. Let me just get to 2025. That's when it will all be better. Here's the thing. The success of 2025 and even 2026 is built in 2024. So these next 6 months are what's going to determine what's possible in 25 and in 26. You need to take stock of where you're at. Take stock of what you've accomplished. Maybe it's only one sale. Maybe it's hitting $1 million in sales. Maybe it's closing something you didn't even think was possible. Maybe it's releasing a client that you should never have taken in the first place. What have been your biggest successes? What's been your win, no matter how big or how small? What's been your setbacks? What's been your setback that when you get past it will actually be your set up to move you forward? Take a look at what's in your pipeline. If you still have a sales target, maybe you're thinking it's completely out of range. Maybe you're close. Maybe you've already passed it. But what is your goal for the rest of 2024? Take a look at what's in your pipeline. I know I've talked about it on other episodes. Your pipeline is so incredibly important to the lifeblood of your business. A lot of times when I talk to travel advisors, I'll say, so how many people do you have in your pipeline? And they'll give me a number. And so I'll ask, at what stage are they at? And a lot of times, most of those people are already booked, which means there's nothing coming in the front. That's part of how we end up with peaks and valleys. One of the biggest complaints I hear from travel advisors all the time is, how do I get rid of the peaks and valleys? I am so busy flat out and then nothing. It's funny because I'm going to bet your marketing looks a lot like that too. When you've got nothing coming in, you go hard, hard, hard. And as soon as you have this flood of business, it's like, oh, I don't have time to market. And so then we back off again. We also need to look at our pipeline to know how many people are coming in and what is our average close rate. Because if you, for example, are only closing 5 out of every 10, and you only have 10 people in your pipeline and you think that that's going to get you 10 bookings, you actually need 20 in order to close 10 people. Once we start putting it into that number, suddenly it's like, wait, what do you mean I need to have 20 people in the pipeline? Well, if your average close rate is 5 and 10, you need 20 in the pipeline to close 10 of those. We've got to look at what's in the front of the pipeline versus what's coming out the back. Because the other thing is once they've moved all the way through, we've got to make sure we have a constant flow coming into the front of your sales pipeline. Are you making bookings? Are you shifting them through? Or are you still counting them as something that's in progress? Something that's there? Are you still counting them month after month after month as the quote unquote booking you're working on? We need to get really crystal clear when we're setting up for the rest of 2024 and into 25 and beyond to know exactly what's coming in, where everything's at, and where do we have gaps in the process. What does your marketing plan look like? Do you have one? Or are we just going as things happen? We're putting things out. Are you establishing a consistent and reliable message? One where you're showing up consistently. Maybe that's a weekly email. Are you each and every week showing up? Are they still going out, whether you're busy or on holidays? Are they still going out? What is your goals? What's your goal for ending out 2024? What's your goal for 25 and even into 26? See, if we don't recognize what our goals are, we don't have a benchmark or milestones that we're working towards. I'm going to take a river cruise group as an example, because I know there's a lot of talk about booking river cruise groups, but insert almost any other group into this. If you want to book a river cruise group in 2025 or into 2026, you've got to do the planning and preparation and even the execution of it in 2024. See, we can't wait until the spring or summer of 25 to be selling a fall of 25 river cruise group. You need to know what your goals are to help you better plan and execute them. We've got to make sure that we're staying ahead of it rather than deciding, well, this is what I want, and I want it to happen in 2 months. We've got to be staying ahead of the curve to make sure that our clients know what we can do for them. And before you say, but 2024 is almost over, I'm here to tell you, you still have 6 whole months of being able to get things done. You still have 180 days left before this year is over. If you're already flooded with all the business you can handle, congratulations. That's amazing. But it doesn't mean that you can shut off your marketing. It's sort of like a shift in a relationship. See, when you have all of the business coming in that you can possibly handle, it's like being in a marriage. But what happens when we're in a marriage and we're busy? We stop paying attention to our partner. We stop paying attention to the other person in the relationship because we're going here. We're chasing after the kids, trying to get supper made. We're trying to get home from the office. We're trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do all the things. And we start to take each other for granted. And inevitably, one starts to feel a little left out. And if we're not nurturing that relationship, not staying in constant contact with them, constantly reminding them that we appreciate them, we see them, we hear them, they start to step out. It's relationship management. So you want to make sure that you are checking in and staying connected, or else they just simply might start dating other people. The biggest mistake busy travel advisors make is taking their clients for granted. When I was at Travel Marketplace last week, Claire Newell said something really important about helping travel advisors to find new clients. And she said, when I encounter somebody and they say, but I'm already working with an advisor, she goes, that's great. You know what? What if I had something in mind that was that they haven't yet thought of, or was different than what they thought of? And that's a great trick to use. But that's also the reminder that everybody that's in your pipeline, everybody that's in your database, every client you've ever encountered is somebody else's prospect. Depending how long you've been selling travel and how old your client is, I'm going to think you're probably not their first advisor. And if you don't manage that relationship, you're not going to be their last. If you don't yet have the business success that you want, it's time to get honest and really ask yourself why. See, this part is like going on dates. If you never leave your couch, nobody's ever going to know you're on the market. But nobody's going to think that you're the one that they want to go date. You've got to be putting yourself out there. You've got to go where all the single people are. But when you ask yourself why, this needs to be the most honest answer that you ever give yourself. Because the level to which you are able to be honest with yourself is the level to which your business has the ability to grow. If you say, but I don't have time, why don't you have time? In my own mastermind, one of the people had said, I don't have time for doing all of this. I don't have time for this. And I don't have time for this. And it was on and on and on. And all I thought was, all the time you've just spent putting into our chat group to say you don't have time, to me, is the time you needed to get that done. We tell ourselves all sorts of crazy, wild stories. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to work on this. This particular episode, I wrote the notes sitting in a doctor's office waiting for an appointment for my husband. It's not all going to look perfectly time blocked in our calendar. I listened to a podcast recently and it said, if you're consuming more social media than you're producing, and I'm going to say just as a whole, if you're consuming more marketing than you're producing, then you have time. This is one of those moments where you genuinely want to get honest with yourself. For years, now looking back, I realize, there were some ADHD factors in there. But I was so deeply consumed with this idea of, I don't have enough time. I have so much work to do. There's just so much. Like, people just don't understand everything that needs to be done. Like, you just don't get it. If I could count up the amount of hours that my brain stayed in a paralysis thinking about how little time it has to get stuff done, I probably could have moved an entire mountain all by myself. The amount of time we spend telling ourselves what we can or can't do, rather than just freaking doing it. There's so much time that we have. Our phones, yes, they are a massive asset to business. They have changed our ability to market for free, but they've also changed our ability to separate from business. They've also changed our ability to separate our attention. They've also changed our ability to be able to determine what is busy work and what is productive work. How bad do you want this? How bad do you want to own a travel business? See, I think one of the biggest struggles in the travel industry right now, and I see Instagram reels, I see posts, I see newspaper ads, I see all sorts of things talking about how easy, how cheap, how this, how that it is to join the industry. A lot of them are using the same tactics or strategies that the MLM, the home party companies used in order to get people in. No experience needed, no cost to join, no, what's the big one? No targets or no minimums, things like that. That was like the big one. If you wanted to sell plastic dishes, or you wanted to sell makeup, or whatever it was, if you didn't have to hit a target and you could still get your discount, that was a good thing. The problem is when we lower the barrier of entry, we lower the expectation of what's involved. So I want to put it into a little bit more context. See, when I was looking to buy the agency that I worked for, they wanted multiple six figures for their agency. Clearly, we did not come to an agreement on what that was going to look like. And therefore, I opened my own agency. But when I opened my own agency, I went in with more than $50,000 in startup money between paying for my franchise fees on the monthly, paying for furniture, paying for staffing, paying for overhead, paying for all of these things until we could start making money, start recouping some of that. I literally went through tens of thousands of dollars. My question for you, if you had to invest tens of thousands of dollars to be a travel advisor, what would your buy-in be in terms of being out there, in terms of marketing yourself, in terms of going after the sale? What would that look like? What would your last 6 months of 2024 look like? If you had tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, see, when business owners start a new business and it's a brick and mortar and they've got inventory and they've got overhead and they have staff and they have this, that, the other, many of them can be in for multiple six figures or multiple 7, 8, or even 9 figures. Trust me. They found the time. The question is the bar too low? Or is our assumption, because the bar is low, that it doesn't require the effort? The reality is you are asking clients to spend thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars with you. If you can't find the time to put yourself out there to let them know you exist, how will they believe you have the time to take care of them? How will they believe that you have the time to take care of them if you can't stay connected when you're busy? I promise you, if you don't do the work, you're not going to see the results. So as we head into this last 6 months of 2024, I challenge you to choose your hard. Choose productivity over being busy. Choose profitable over being popular. Choose to write your own plot twist for these final 6 months of 2024. If you're not getting the results you want and you need a plot twist, pick up the pen and write your own. 2024 is just getting going. You still have an entire 6 months left. But more importantly, what you do in these next 6 months will absolutely determine what's possible for you in 2025. So if you're ready to light it on fire, I want you to send me a DM. Let me know what you are committing to do. Come see me over on Art of Selling Travel. I'm going to link up all the places you can find me in the show notes. Of course, our free Facebook group. Come join us there. If you want to be coached by me, come join us over in the Success Studio. There's so many ways for you to blow the roof off of 2024. Don't let this slip away. Don't throw in the towel and just say, I'll catch you in 25. Put in the work now so that you can blow your own mind of what's possible in 2025. Until next time, happy selling.